Hey, this is Mike Mintz here, otherwise known as Hope Magnet. I want to do a quick video about Step 2. And for those of you that don't know, Step 2 in the 12-step programs goes something like this. It came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Now, a lot of people have trouble with Step 2, and I see it over and over and over again in the fellowships that I attend. And I think a lot of it comes from preconceived notions of what higher power means. Now, let's not beat around the bush. The guys who made the 12-step programs, Dr. Bob and Bill Wilson, they were Christians. And their intent in creating the 12 steps was to sort of bring people back to this idea of what they called first century Christianity. So yeah, that was the foundation. They definitely meant God. But what's so beautiful about Alcoholics Anonymous and other fellowships and the 12 steps is that as they started to bring this message out into the world of using God or a higher power to overcome whatever the affliction was, whether it was drinking or whatever, they ran into people that didn't believe like they did, people that were atheist or agnostic, and they realized that in order to reach people and be truly effective in their service, they had to change God and sort of broaden the idea and make it higher power, to make it more agnostic friendly, more atheist friendly. And so what I love about it is that regardless of what you believe, you could still work the 12 steps. You can still get sober. You can still overcome whatever difficulty it is you're trying to overcome with the 12 steps. And the beauty of it is that step 2 is not asking you to believe in God. It is not trying to get you to believe in what God I believe in, or what God Bill Wilson believed in, or what God your sponsor believes in. All it's asking you to do is to ask yourself what spirituality means to you. What does the idea of the possibility of a creator mean to you? What does the idea of a higher power mean to you? What does this idea of something greater than yourself? Because ultimately, when I came to AA, I was so full of self. I mean, they say in the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous, that selfishness, self-centeredness is the root of our troubles. Driven by 1,000 forms of selfishness, self-delusion, self-pity, that's how we live, okay? And for me, as an alcoholic, I mean, I was living in a world where basically, I was afraid of what was out there. And I had to drink. I had to use things because I had to. Things never seemed like that. I never felt like things were as they should be, and so I was trying to create the world as I wanted it to be, and I was able to use alcohol to do that until alcohol stopped working like that for me because it caused more problems than it was solving. And I think that when I came to AA and I started to work the steps and I had this spiritual experience, what it did for me was, it revealed to me that I had to live for something besides just what I wanted out of life. That wasn't enough. That ultimately, because it would never be enough, especially for somebody like me, somebody who is an alcoholic. And that's what it is that this terminal selfishness, it doesn't allow me to be satisfied regardless of how much you give me. And that's true of alcohol, it's true of money, it's true of sex, it's true of success or whatever. And so this idea of connecting to a higher power isn't so much trying to get me to believe in a doctrine of God. It's trying to get me to believe in this idea that I am not the end-all be-all. That doesn't work. And I think anyone can agree with that. Whether I'm an atheist or not, I can agree with this idea that there are forces out there way more powerful than me and that I do not have control over every single thing in this universe. And so what step 2 is asking me to do is let's talk about those ideas. Let's get clear on how we feel about this idea. Because ultimately, it is this idea of connecting to something greater, the greater whole out there, that is going to enable me to be of service, right? Remember, that's exactly why Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob changed the word God and broadened it to higher power. They wanted to be of more service. And so what I like to call this is the JFK approach to finding a higher power. Ask not what your God can do for you or your higher power can do for you, but what you can do for your higher power. And I love this idea because it's very simple. If I am just trying to see what God can give me or what I can get from a higher power or what I can get from AA, then I'm still living this selfish life. I am still, and it will never be enough. I am not living as I should be living. But if I'm looking at what I can give to my higher power, how can I serve my higher power? How can I serve AA? How can I serve? What can I give? I will find that I want less, that I'm satisfied with less, and that I'll probably gain tremendously more. Let me just illustrate this with a story just to finish this video. The other day was the Sabbath, and I go to synagogue. I'm a religious Jew living in Israel, and my kids woke up around 6 a.m. They'd all gone to bed late, and the last thing I really wanted to do was bring children to the synagogue. I mean, it's nice when they come and I'm already there, but I didn't want to have to bring them when I was first trying to go. But you know what? They wanted to come, and so I felt in my heart that this wasn't what I wanted, but I wound up taking them anyway. And I had this incredible spiritual experience, this moment where I'm walking and I had my 2.5-year-old son holding my hand. I had my 5-year-old daughter was just holding onto my shirt, and we were sort of walking by the playground on the way to the synagogue, which isn't far from our house. And it was a little cold, but we were all in jackets and warm, and the wind was blowing, and it was beautiful and sunny. And I just had this feeling in this moment of, this is exactly where I need to be. This is exactly how things should be. And I had this incredible feel of this connection to my higher power, to what I call God. That this flow of goodness was coming down from me. And I had sort of this spiritual awakening where I realized that is what step 2 is about. It is about allowing the flow of goodness of whatever higher power I believe to come into my life. Because the easiest way to cut myself off from being higher powered is to get stuck in the thinking and the debating of what the power is, rather than experiencing that power on a daily basis by just allowing myself to have experiences. And that's what step 2 is about. It's about clarifying my current beliefs, clarifying my thoughts, just getting clarity. And it doesn't matter if you believe, if you don't believe, if you hate, if you love God, doesn't matter. Get clear on what you believe and then allow yourself to experience things. And I can tell you, when I am in that place, and guys, don't get me wrong, I go back and forth. I'm not always this open to it. I'm a human being. My experiences will change and develop and regress and evolve, and that's okay. But as long as I continue asking the questions, continue seeking, continue trying, that is what our program asks of us. I believe that's what our higher power asks of us. And it's been my experience that I can live happily in this world as long as I'm continuing to allow myself to be open to this and these ideas. Thanks.